about 5, almost 6 years old. 6 years, 7 years.
Everybody looks relaxed.
So this must be Dwayne by process of elimination
Oh,
here?
yeah.
Yes,
Hi, Dwayne.
Hi.
I'm Pam. Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
I thought you guys knew each other.
No, I've not met officially. Here comes Ryan.
Well, he's really early.
What?
Gant show. That's really, he usually walks in right at 7.
Yeah.
Early enough so I can have time to walk.
Should let me know. Let you in the side door here. The escape route. You could have knocked too.
Just put a little doorbell out there.
Should, yeah. What did I do here? There we go. Maybe budget for next year, bigger screens.
Yeah. Yeah, these.
Like actual laptops or
Uh-huh. Yes, I would agree. Or convert these over.
Okay, perfect. All right.
It's about the right size. Good evening.
Hi, John.
You and I are not sitting next to each other anymore after all these years. Did I say something?
One never knows.
I don't know.
Is there a printed agenda back there? Yeah, that'd be great. I forgot to print one out today.
Don't lie, it's your first time looking at it.
Pam accused me already of not looking at my packet.
I spent a lot of time on that.
Learning the ropes to the packet.
Yes, I got to be a part of this packet put together. And today I had to work on public works and a special tour for next week. So when it's all unlocked, it's on me.
Sure, it'll be fine.
I was working with Jen on the edits last week, and I'm like, so I put the packet together, and I send it off in a PDF to Annie.
But
And then-
she's gotta attach it in a way so that they can click on it. And so she was trying to break it apart,
Yeah.
and then things were spinning, and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna deal with this later,
Yeah,
I'm not
but
gonna waste your
Not
time.
even that, so like my memo,
Okay.
she, she has to upload each section.
Are you guys in the
of
right
that
order over there tonight?
website.
What?
You guys in the right order over there tonight?
She started.
Where
Where the name tags are.
Yeah, we said where name
Yeah,
tags
I
are.
said-
No,
Switched
you're
it up.
usually here.
I know.
Switching it up a little bit.
Yeah. Not my science.
I mean, in the
This
past,
is
whenever
where-
she called on John, I didn't think we had a problem. We
No.
always figured it out.
This is why I said for board meeting.
Okay. That's maybe why.
That's what he wants to hang his hat on.
Doesn't matter to me.
Did you get that truck? Is that your black one? I saw that the other night. Out back.
Just feel like a little kid.
I see it here. Cheers. So did you get your diesel?
Oh, that's another diesel.
Is that another?
Yep.
So there's like two
Yep. Just a lot less miles.
And I'm like, I don't
It's sure shiny.
you know what I'm saying?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully keep it that way. I gotta have it ceramic coated yet.
What did you buy?
Another Denali.
Okay.
So that I can attach it.
Only I bought it used.
What's
It
that?
was-
Same thing
It's
I
a
said
22. I had a 21,
I know.
but my 21 had
I saw,
74,000 miles on it.
Last night I was
So that.
So this one's got 16,000 on it. So I was at a point where I'm either gonna drive it till it pukes or trade it now and get a little bit something for
Right,
it.
exactly.
So yeah,
That's right.
give me 40 for my trade.
Cause you had it all in one.
And they'll probably put it on the lot for
What went.
48 or 49, I bet.
Sure.
But whatever.
Separately because I just followed the plan commission application.
Got to put it on someone to get beat down.
Yeah, doing.
Get some room.
I got so many flyouts. By the time I get to the end, I can't even see.
However, what kind of.
I'll just click on something. Like,
We've always done pretty good selling them out, except for the last one. Kurt's old one, it just couldn't. We usually ask, what are you gonna ask? Well, we're gonna ask this for it, and we'd add 2,000 to that.
on these guys.
And once in a while, we'd have to come down to 1,000,
Sick plan.
and once in a while, we could sell it for that.
Yeah.
By the time
And they got to know that
find out all
Jackson was a good area. But Kurt's just,
I'm trying to tuck this back in.
I thought about just
It is, it's
temporarily throwing it, buying the new one and selling the other one on my own. But by the time you
yeah, yes.
jig around and you run the risk of not getting what you think you're going to get, and then you don't get the tax. You know, you still got to pay the sales tax.
Yep.
You get the credit on that with the trade in. So I don't know,
Yep.
whatever. It's like for a couple thousand, it's not worth it to me.
Are you with anyone on the agenda this evening?
I'm here for Jackson tonight. For, Cedar, just realized, Cedar Creek Townhomes.
Yeah, it's had a few iterations of names, so.
It's been a long day.
Okay. And you are?
Chase.
Right.
I'm with, American Architectural.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to take off the mask so we'll be live, okay?
Okay. You sure? Look at that.
Keep making it smaller and smaller. I couldn't read it anymore. That's not what I'm trying to do.
John, are you feeling a little less lonely on the corner there? You have a little more traffic coming in?
little bit. Yes. Yes. And the first night, that Friday night that they opened it, it was so much fun sitting in the pig's parking lot watching the traffic. They didn't know which way to go. They were coming out the driveway and out the inn, and people would go up the up the Living Word. So they moved the barrels a little more. It's a little harder to make that turn.
I've encountered a few westbound vehicles, but that seems to have stopped, so.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Being 7 p.m., I will call to order the Plan Commission meeting for the Village of Jackson for Thursday, June 20th, 2024. Roll call, all members are in attendance. Item number 2 on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the Plan Commission meeting of April 18th, 2024.
Make a motion to approve minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion, corrections, comments? I did have a question on the attendance. John, were you here at that last meeting?
No.
Okay. And Dan, were you?
Yeah.
Okay. So John was not here.
John was on,
Yeah. John Wolkentine was not here.
and Dan was present.
Yeah, she had everybody was present.
Okay.
So John was excused.
I'll make the adjustment.
Anything else? All in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 on the agenda is a conditional use request and site plan review, drive-through expansion and signage updates for W227 N16880 Tilly Lake Court for Culvers. You had the staff memo in your packet. And we do have representative from Culvers here this evening if we have any questions. And Colin, do you have anything to add or subtract anything that was in the packet?
I don't really. You'll just notice that, obviously they're looking to create 2 lanes and kind of a bypass lane around those drive-throughs, which I think definitely increases safety for the site and overall is a good update.
Okay.
Kind of set up like McDonald's in is, right? Kind of how they got the.
There's a number of culvers that have this similar setup. It kind of seems that drive-through of, I guess, how do I want to say this? That nearly every drive-through restaurant, if you will, is looking to expand their capacity. So
Be looking for a motion on that item.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use request and site plan review for Culvers at W227N16880 Tilly Lake Court, per staff comments on the memo.
Second.
We have a motion by Emmerich, second by Kripke. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 on the agenda is conditional use request and site plan review for Cedar Creek Townhomes LLC for parcel V3019700V. Again, we did have the packet or the memo and everything in the packet. And to open it up for discussion, I will make a motion to recommend Village Board approve the conditional use request and site plan review for Cedar Creek Townhomes at, for parcel V3019700V.
I'll second per staff comments if you add that.
We have a motion by Heckendorf, second by Emmerich. Now let's discuss, because there were quite a few comments on the staff comments. So we do have representation you're from American companies? Correct. Okay. So any of the commissioners have questions?
It seems like they're trying to pack 100 pounds of building into a 50-pound lot. When you're talking about there's nothing shown for garbage corral, fire department can't get the trucks around. I think that's, unless they can come up with something that meets the fire departments, they need to do a little more work on that.
Do I need to go to the stand?
Yes, please. Yep.
So we did address the fire department concerns in the trash. Looking at the site, we're gonna have each individual unit have their own trash cans. And for the fire department, we did run a truck test to make sure that the swings and right-of-ways are wide enough for the trucks to get through, and it did pass. I don't know if my boss, Adam, had sent you any of that yet, but we do have those documents currently.
Yeah, those documents were sent last week. They were viewed by the fire chief. I believe he still had some relative concerns with regards to perhaps some of the tightness on some of the radiuses, but I don't want to speak for him. I suppose it's possible that some of those radiuses could be opened up a little bit to make them a little wider where there are kind of those constraints. But again, I don't want to speak for the fire department. Unfortunately, Aaron is on vacation this week, so they weren't able to we weren't able to meet and kind of discuss them in further detail. But I did see that plan. To me, those are pretty standard, and they were actually based off of prior, documents and information that the fire department had provided to them for the previous site iteration. So that's what they were using to base their kind of path of travel for the fire apparatus through that site on this site plan. So I think if the fire department and the developer can come to agreement, perhaps prior to the village board meeting, that, the overall layout will work, that access as needed will be provided, then I think it's, likely a go forward, if you will, in terms of that issue. We've also, as he mentioned, discussed the refuse and recycling matter. A little non-standard for individual apartment units to be issued individual garbage and recycling containers, not by the village. Perhaps the tenants will have to provide them, but it is a standardized container. So that's something that the developer and or management company will have to work out with their tenants and their garbage collector. But the village will not be providing refuse recycling collection for this site.
And these are back to rentals again, correct?
I don't know 100%, but I do know that there was talk about potentially buying the units instead of renting. However, I'm not sure where that stands.
As last explained to me, they were intended to be
Rentals.
apartment units.
Yeah.
So, however, the utilities will be separated out. So I suppose perhaps at a future date, they could be converted to condominiums.
So then rather than having a dumpster with a corral, you're proposing that each unit have its own garbage and recycling containers, and then that's part of their rent or whatever, that you pay for a company to come and pick it up every week then, or what are you proposing?
So I don't know the answer to that question, but from what I do know, the discussions were that the trash enclosure did not make sense and that it was, I don't want to say easier, but it made more sense to have individual units have their garbage cans. I'm not 100% sure on all of that detail, but that is what I know.
So are those stored in their garage then?
That's-
or
that's my next
outside?
question.
Yes, they'd be in the garage.
And that's something that we could definitely request the developer and or management company to write into the lease.
I think the pickup part of it is a good question, because, either it's gotta be a standard issued one that our service would then pick up, so that way it conforms to what their equipment will use. Or they're, something that they have to be compatible with whoever is doing the pickup.
Right.
Yeah, each of the refuse haulers has their, standards
Yeah.
that they require. And pretty much the containers are pretty uniform these days. They vary in size. There's 3 sizes generally.
Yeah.
And what they want to issue to, this development is again up to them. But So just as a contrast to the apartment setting, for individual condominium units, they would have village supplied refuse and recycling pickup.
That's based on ownership versus rental? Is that-
Correct.
Colin, you mentioned separate utilities. Does that include water?
Yes.
So each individual tenant is paying their water.
That is a village requirement that each individual
meters
tenant
and
be,
everything.
be separately metered, so
Okay.
if they're in arrears on their bill, we can shut them off essentially, so.
Are the parking spaces out in front of each unit, is that good for two?
Correct. So based on the code research that we've done, both, or units can have their driveways and the garages count towards a parking space. And then we also have, an extra 5 on-site parking stalls for visitors.
So essentially, each unit would have 3 parking spaces.
Correct. We'd have, enough parking spaces to cover the village requirements.
Are those 1-car or 2-car garages?
I believe one car for now.
That's what I thought.
And I know we've looked at this a number of times. It looks like they changed the exterior siding and roofing materials.
It's changed in color somewhat, but most of the materials that we've been planning for the development have been mainly just hardy lap siding or some sort of vinyl siding.
Okay.
So, I mean, some of the other things like that were under the fire department comments, it had to do with like snow removal and things like that. I mean, ultimately, it's their responsibility to get the snow out of there, correct? I mean, do we need to worry about
Yeah,
that?
I mean,
or-
I generally comment about snow removal as well, because as many of you know, it can be somewhat difficult to find places to put snow, especially during heavy snowfall seasons. So sometimes it can be a bit of an afterthought in the planning process. So we just want to kind of bring it up ahead of time that, you will need places for parking and for snow, and parking is likely going to be, a little bit limited during the winter months, so let's plan ahead. I think there's likely adequate space on the site to push snow, and obviously if we do get a heavy snowfall, they'll have to hire somebody to come in and remove it.
Yeah.
But will this be publicly plowed?
No, this is a private
Right.
access road. Yep, from Eagle Drive all
Okay.
the way through.
Okay.
So,
And then with the CBRF facility that is next door there, those easements that it's just kind of funky back there, the way that works in conjunction with the parking lot that kind of flows into the development that you're proposing. Are we good with that? How many spaces that provide for?
So the previous spaces that are, actually the current spaces that are already on that lot are not counted towards the spaces I was mentioning earlier. We
Okay.
provided an extra 5 stalls, and I also believe that the owner also, the owner of the current lot being developed is also the owner of the lot with the CBRF on it. So I believe he would be able to help work out some of those issues if there's concerns there.
if I can maybe offer some clarification,
Sure.
I believe he was the original developer of the CBRF.
Okay.
No longer the owner.
Yeah.
But does have a working relationship with them. I have
Yeah.
actually been in contact with the management side of the CBRF, because they too had some concerns regarding the easement. That is a separate deeded easement for access to that lot, and I believe it includes the parking. The parking is an equivalent to what is there today. So the parking for the CBRF essentially is not going away.
Oh,
There'll be
okay.
a little bit of reconfiguration to remove some of the islands per a prior fire department request.
Yeah.
To better access, if, as you drive in, there's actually an island right in the middle of the
Yeah.
road, so that's going away. So,
And I've been back in that parking lot numerous times, and it never seemed like there's packed full or anything.
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a fairly small CBRF, limited number of employees. The most traffic that's really being generated there is, you know, your medical transport, your deliveries, things of that nature, so.
Any other questions, concerns?
So I will say that, you know, the board does have the option to table this till next month if they still hold concerns with regards to the fire department comments. Otherwise, what I can offer is that, you know, we will certainly work to resolve the fire department, any fire department, outstanding fire department concerns prior to village board meeting and consideration at that time.
I'd be okay with amending my motion to include the approval of the conditional use request and site plan review, subject to the developer and the fire department coming to an agreement before the village board meeting. Is that,
In agreement with regards to fire
The
department
issues.
access.
yes. Fire department, access and fire department access. So I don't know if Aaron has seen that study that you guys had done with the angles and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if he's seen that.
He has, and he had very limited time to review it. My recollection is he still thought, you know, as you turn, the back end of the truck swings out over the curb kind of thing. You know, you know, I guess he has his wants, and I understand that. Whether those impede access overall to the site, I can't say.
What does this do for a density on this site compared to the last one that came by when it was?
The density is actually the same, and it's in line with the comp plan
When density, I mean, how many units per the,
per acre. Yeah, I think it's, I want to say 7.1. I believe it might be in the memo.
Can I just interject one thing? My interpretation of it was that Aaron was concerned about, like, the people evacuating the building and room for the trucks and people evacuating. That's how I read that when I was putting together the packet.
all of it at the same time?
Yeah, that there was just not enough space for trucks and people and safety, and that was my interpretation.
I guess what I can, you know, lend to that conversation is, if you remember the previous iteration, it was one larger building and then a 6-unit building off to the side, where this is separate 8-unit buildings and then one 4-unit building. So the chances of all 4 or 5 buildings going up at once, obviously, are going to be fairly slim, I would assume. So,
And it's sprinkler.
you're not evacuating the entire site, is what I'm saying. You're evacuating 1 or 2 buildings potentially, maybe 3, but overall, you know, that's maybe 8 units, maybe 16 units, maybe 24 units.
What is the tentative time frame as far as getting started on this?
They were looking to break ground, I believe, sometime this autumn, and hopefully have construction completed within the following year, something like that. I don't know the total time frame, but I know they were trying to break ground on this as fast as possible.
So you're looking at the fall, you're thinking, to start breaking ground this fall?
Yes. I think they wanted to get foundations ready before winter and then go ahead with construction afterwards.
So really, if we table this till the next meeting and let the fire department and you guys get this all figured out, and rather have Aaron tell us that he's good with you know, that before I approve something that, you know, might not be, if you're not in a hurry, obviously, you're looking at the fall, another month isn't gonna, I'm not a builder, but I wouldn't think it would be. So it's on, so everything's done right.
I would tend to agree with that. The question comes in is, where are they at with regards to state plan review for the buildings, which doesn't really affect the overall site layout per se. So, you know, they could potentially proceed with state plan review and work out some of the minutia with regards to site access and evacuation concerns, if needed.
In regards to state review, we were planning to submit within the next month. I believe July 8th was a date that we kind of had picked out.
Well, that wouldn't even be out, that would be before the village board meeting.
July 9th is for.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it come back. We send too much to the board without it being finalized, and seem we have time here to do it. I'd like clarification from Aaron on the fire chief from the things he's concerned about. The other thing, I'd like to know a little more of the formalized, what they're intending for trash removal. Is this something that is gonna be a formal type of container that every unit's gonna have? That there's gonna be a contractor comes in, that's gonna pick it up, or is this gonna be told, hey, you're responsible for your own trash, and they throw it out in the woods in the back? I don't know what their thinking is.
I can't answer that question specifically. That's something the developer would know. But as far as I'm aware, yeah, they were leaning away from the dumpster enclosure.
I think the part of it that I'm looking at a little bit concerned is you got a single car garage already as it is. You got a closet that's in there directly going into the garage. You know, it, you know how
tight.
it goes, that the first thing that's gonna get out of there is gonna be your trash and sitting out in the front,
Yeah.
be unsightly.
And the next thing would be the car sitting in the driveway, because there's enough room
Well,
there.
there's a
Yeah.
car in there, yeah.
So we do have an amended motion, and were you okay with Brian with seconding that amended motion?
Sure, to get it through.
Yeah, and then we'll call a vote on it. Yep. Any other discussion on this item then?
So what is the amended?
The amended motion is the recommendation to approve the conditional use request and the site plan review, subject to the developer and the fire department coming to an agreement with the access issues prior to the village board meeting.
So then if they agree, then it goes to the village board meeting, it's not coming back here.
Correct.
Okay.
So if we wanted to come back here, we gotta vote this down.
There you go. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye? Any opposed?
Nay?
Nay.
Motion fails. So now we would be looking for a motion to table to the next meeting, subject to more information.
I will make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Emmerich, second by Kripke, to table to the next meeting. Any further discussion on that item? All in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 on the agenda, citizens or village staff to address the plan commission. Anyone wishing to speak? If not,
Motion adjourned.
Second.
motion by Kripke and second by Emmerich to adjourn. All in favor by saying aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming.
All that, or you're working outside of it.
Yeah, I told my wife she has to drive half.